The first piece was moving my heart was the Nutcracker by Tchaikovsky. I was actually 2 or 3, and I really loved that. Yeah, that part. So I grew up in China, Shenyang, which is the northeast region, and then where I grew up, the neighborhood, it was a very musical neighborhood. It was a dorm of a Chinese traditional orchestra, which my father was the principal erhu player, Chinese violin with 2 strings only, like chopstick. All of his colleagues who were musicians and all their kids were learning piano, violin. So I had a very, very musical environment. And every day I hear music from everywhere. The first few years of study piano, I would say it was more like having a little toy type of feeling in my hand. So I was 2.5 when I started. But when I turned 5, I found out that practice is no fun. It become quite kind of hard to practice every day, to sit there and to just play the note all the time. But in general, I would say 70% of the time I kind of enjoy playing, and then another 30% of time it was kind of hard to sit. I was in Beijing at the age of 9, and I got fired by the piano teacher there in the conservatory. And she was kind of very skeptical of my piano style, my playing style. And I think that she didn't really like the way I played. And so she's finding all excuses to get me out of her class. And then after 6 months, she succeeded. So I got kicked out. And that was very, very difficult for me because I'm 9 months away for the audition to the Central Conservatory. And I thought my piano career is over. So when I was 17 years old, I had this big dream, to play with the biggest orchestra in America, to play in the biggest concert. But in the reality, I always play as a sub, waiting for somebody get sick or waiting in the line, number 5 or number 6, to wish to be performed with the Chicago Symphony, New York Philharmonic, Philadelphia Orchestra. As a teenager, we do a lot of auditions to orchestras, conductors, musicians. So that's what I did. And it was kind of slow beginning. So people take me seriously. They like me, but they think that I'm too young. Yeah. And until that audition in August 1999, I was just turning 17. And so it was the Chicago Symphony at Ravinia Festival with Christoph Eschenbach, the conductor. The audition went really well. And then he asked me a very strange question. He said, if I'd like to hire you now, what piece would you like to play? As you know, in classical music, you always need to wait for 2 years to get engagement. And I was like, if you want me to play now? And I was thinking, what I have, Liszt, Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, and I said Tchaikovsky number 1, because this is the piece that is really shows off the virtuosic power and emotions, And then two days later, the wonderful pianist Andre Watts got sick, so I stepped in, and that was the biggest concert of that summer. It's called the Concert of the Century. The thing is that you have to be ready all the time, and because the opportunity will come in very fast. And if you catch it in the right way, you are in the game. But if you are unable to be prepared, to be ready, then you have to wait another few years. And And so that's why, I was prepared very well for this type of last minute fortune, and it worked for me. So that was Pavarotti's one of his last tour. So he did in Philadelphia. He made this huge kind of farewell tour. And so I was in a concert, first time listening to this incredible musician live. And I was so stunned by his voice and his power and his communication power to the audience. And until today, I still remember the way he sung. And then afterward, I met him and I gave him my first CD. And actually, he was quite serious about it because he went back to New York in the same evening and he listened to it. And the day after, he wrote me a fax and to say, I think you get something from my inspiration, the way that the communication power. And he said he find there's some similarities in my playing. And I found that was like the holy statement from Pavarotti. For me, transformation is quite an important element of a performance. Because if it's a good performance, they always take you to somewhere, whether it's an emotional zone, or it's a very sad place, or it's like a party night, or it gives you incredible strugglings, because in music it's not always beautiful, and also it needed multiple characters and the feelings and styles. And for me, in each performances, I'm trying to get into a different planet, whether it's a planet of sugar or it's a planet of some kind of a dark place. I'm always trying to move my heart into somewhere and then take my audience. I think my music making has changed a bit since I got married, having a little kid. He's actually already 3, so it's not that little anymore. But I learned a lot from him. And even though I already had many students in the past, but to have my own kid is quite different, and sometimes it's challenging because I don't know whether I should be a little bit more strict or a little bit more relaxed on his education. I'm not so sure in this moment. But he certainly make my playing more subtle, more sensitive. So my latest album is called Sen Songs. He was one of the greatest French composer, and I'm sure you know his work called Animal of Anim. I'm sure you know the piece Carnival of Animals and the Swan. That was kind of one of the most recognizable classical music tune. And so I record many of his work in this album, but in the same time, I also have the great French Impressionist composers, Debussy, Ravel, and Fauré, 3 most beautiful Impressionist artists. I also wanted to show some great female composers, and so we choose 5 great French female composers and rediscover their work, including Charlotte Sohi, Lily Boulanger, and also Tyler Fair. Beautiful music, it's very sweet and sentimental. In this album, I worked very closely with my wife, Gina Ellis. We did a Carnival of Animals, and we also did the Debussy Petite Suite, which is called On the Boat. But we have to breathe together. We have to, play the same pedaling together. We have to make the exact timing dynamic together. It's almost like we're on the same boat. But once it's not working, then it's a real struggle. But in this case, I think we made a good result. The second movement of the Saint-Saëns No. 2 Piano Concerto, which is almost like a midsummer night type of spiritual fairies. And the thing is that when you are feeling so inspired, it's like making sparkling wine type of hype all the time. It really gives you confidence to always dive into the music and to try to find even more moments like that. So it's like it's like a laser fairy. When I was a kid, people sometimes call me as a prodigy, but of course now I'm 41. It's far from that age. But I would say that as a kind of a child prodigy, you have to live in a quite pressured time because people always having eyes on you and ears on you, and so sometimes the child prodigy remains child, but the prodigy went away. So the important thing is to keep the talent, but let the child go away once you grow up. I think sometimes, when we play piano, if we are so familiar with the notes, sometimes you just play the notes as like you're typing the computer, which is nothing wrong. Typing computer is very nice too. But the thing is that every note need to have real life, real character, real mood, real emotions behind. And it's always the hard thing to do is what is behind the note? What's the meaning behind the bars? Rather than just play everything right. And if you play something without heart, without emotions, without connections, the piece is like one-way computer without internet. So as a kid, when I'm playing on stage, there are many kind of genuine playing, you don't know what you are doing, but you are just playing it. And you don't know what you are going to do, but somehow you are doing it in a spontaneous way. And that's beautiful. That's really, very, in a way, it's a quite authentic way of playing. But as you grow up, if you still don't know why you're playing like that, then it's not authentic. Then it's become clueless. So once you grow up, you have to know why you're doing it, in which style you're going to do it, in which strategy you're going to start playing the first note. What's the whole story and what's the background of this piece? What is the technique behind all those virtuosic passages? And you put every element with much more theory in your back of your mind. But one thing is important: you still have to remember, once you're a kid, those spontaneous feelings. You still need to do that. Otherwise, become a mechanical, calculated music performance. The way I love about playing piano is that I make so many friends through music, and I really become a global citizen, being a representative of your own culture and building a bridge into different cultures, and I think I really enjoy being in this profession, and I would love to invite more kids to be in this beautiful art world and to study and to feel the great world power. My name is Lang Lang, and this is my brief but spectacular take on loving what you play.